Second, once we get everybody seated.
He'll lose his strength if he cuts it off.
This is the checklist that December.
No.
Is that what happened to David and Goliath?
I like the young guy.
That's right.
Still building this up, but if they're going
Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Will you roll call, please, Erica?
check and make sure,
Councilmember Jablonski. Here. Councilmember Fisickelli.
I'll let you hang on to that.
Ready?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Councilmember Fisickelli.
Here.
Councilmember McKay.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Here, we all stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And welcome back to Vice Mayor Bright Cruz. We missed you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank
As
you,
I
Mayor.
said before, and wonderful job. I know Doug filled in
Yep.
for me, and you as well did a wonderful job. And they tell me it wasn't missed for 1 second. But I will tell you, I was
believe
going through withdrawal.
No, you weren't
Yeah, me
missed.
too.
That wasn't the case at all.
You guys are the best, but
You
thank
were
you
missed.
very, very much. Welcome back. Great to have you back.
Thank you.
Heard you and your family had a wonderful time. Okay, the first order of business is quasi-judicial hearings, and I'll turn it over to you, Erica.
Please be advised that the following items on the council agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. All witnesses who will testify on any item in this portion of the agenda will be sworn. Participants who are members of the general public need not be sworn and will not be subject to cross-examination if they are not sworn. However, the council shall not assign unsworn testimony the same weight or credibility as sworn testimony in its deliberations. The applicant has the burden of proof. After the applicant's concluding remarks, the hearing will be closed and no additional testimony, material, or argument will be allowed unless the council chooses to request additional testimony. The members of the town council will then deliberate. All evidence relied upon by reasonably prudent persons in the conduct of their affairs may be considered in these proceedings, regardless of whether such evidence would be admissible in a court. Hearsay evidence may supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not alone support a conclusion unless it would be admissible over objection in court. The material on the town council agenda will be considered as evidence without authentication. Anyone representing an organization must present written evidence of his or her authority to speak on behalf of the organization in regard to the matter under consideration. Each person who appears during a public hearing shall identify himself or herself and give their address, and if appearing on behalf of an organization, state the name and mailing address of the organization. The council may, on its own motion or at the request of any person, continue the hearing to a fixed date, time, and place. No notice shall be required if a hearing is continued to a fixed date and time and place. Any applicant shall have the right to request and be granted one continuance. However, all subsequent continuance shall be granted at the discretion of the council and only upon good cause shown. Any members giving testimony on this item, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
You didn't cross your fingers, did you, Gay? I want to make sure. Michelle?
Okay, the applicant, or the town can proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just do want to say from the bottom of my heart how touched I am that you put me first on the agenda. It's never, ever happened before, and I just feel great about that. And I love your new policy of limiting agendas to 2 items. I think it's fantastic. You already approved this item, so we can basically go home. No, about 6 years ago, you did approve this. It was a plat. It was a different council, but it came to you as the Appaloosa Trail plat. It's exactly the same as you see today in that it's 5 acres being subdivided into 2.5 acre lots. What happened is before this plat got recorded, it got approved by the county commission after the town, and before it got recorded, the county changed its rules to no longer require platting, just to create one new lot. And so they didn't record the plat, and they're back now for a waiver of plat, which we set up to replace the platting process for kind of de minimis situations like this one. It's very straightforward. The 2 lots have frontage on Appaloosa Trail. There's nothing special about them, no easements, no dedications involved here. There's a trail alignment that runs down Appaloosa, but According to the comp plan, the street itself shall be the trail. So we did not request an equestrian easement, and it wasn't requested when the original plat came through either. And we recommend approval, subject to the standard 5% cost recovery condition.
And before the applicant comes up, does council have any disclosures they would like to make regarding ex parte communications?
No.
None?
None.
Okay, so the applicant can come forward?
Good evening, everyone.
I see green, it's
on,
on,
it's
yeah, just
green.
gotta get a little bit closer.
You can take it
that's
out of
all.
there and hold it if you like.
Is that better?
There you go,
There
yes.
you go.
You can lift it out and hold it if you want. It'll
No,
slide out
thank
of there.
you. Okay, good evening. My name is Jane Storms with Police Land Surveyors, 538
It's on.
It's on.
5381 Nob Hill Road, Sunrise, Florida. We have reviewed staff's recommendation. They always do such a wonderful, complete job, and we are looking forward to your approval. We accept all the conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Does council have any questions of the applicant?
Right, yeah.
And as the applicant, do you have any other witnesses?
No. And I've been sworn.
I saw, thank you. You're good, you can sit down.
Make a motion approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Again, it was something that was approved back in 2007. It was never brought forward to the county commission for approval by the previous owner. Essentially the same scenario as what was approved by this council in 2007. No members of the public wish to speak on this item. Vince?
Mayor, Councilman, my concern, I could see where the property owner would benefit by not having to plat, but the developer of the individual lots are going to be required, I am sure. What I'm concerned about is the right-of-way on Appaloosa is, if it has been diminished or is it the same as the old plat? And also, I was surprised that FPNL didn't require any easement at this particular time, but I'm sure when they come in for development, they're going to require the utility easements along the property lines on both sides. I have no objections to them having, because it naturally it would make it more economic for the particular owner, but I think it should be noted that that the 2.5 acres, when it's developed, needs to be platted. And the owner should have, well, either they should advise the purchaser that if they want to develop it, they're going to have to plat it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Any other members of the public wish to comment? See no further public comment. Public comment is now closed. We have a motion and a second to approve. Council, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing no questions, comments, or concerns, we have a motion and a second to approve. Erica, call the question, please.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, that concludes our quasi-judicial hearing. Transition right into item number 4, which is public comment.
All speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Public comment will last for 30 minutes. All comments must be on non-agenda items. All speakers must fill out a request card prior to speaking. All speakers must state first name, last name, and mailing address. Speakers will be called in the order the request cards were received. Request cards will only be received until the first 5 minutes of public comment have concluded. We only have 2 speakers. Newell Hollingsworth, followed by Bob McFarland.
Good evening, Newell
Jeff, you're
Hollingsworth.
still here?
He fell asleep.
Just sit in the groove there.
Okay. Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. Let's talk about horses tonight. As chair of the comp plan, we've been working very hard on a farm ordinance and revising it to bring it into legality with our new reality of the farm ordinance that the legislature put into effect. But it upset me 2 weeks ago where I saw a TV show where a horse in Southwest Ranches over in Sunshine Ranches, 2 of them were seized by BSO and taken to a rescue place over in Davie. And then Monday of this week, one of the horses had to be put down. That should not be allowed or tolerated at all within our town. Yet, no citation was issued, no arrest was made for abuse. We have gone to great extent with animals within our town to protect them, and we have several named laws for animals, horses, and pigs. And yet, BSO did not make an arrest, did not issue a citation. The town did not issue a citation. All they did was surrender the horse and took it away. Animal abuse of any type should not be tolerated at all, and there should be no forgiveness policy whatsoever by this town. And I'd like this council to severely look at it and put into effect whatever is necessary so a very large hammer is used on anyone that creates animal abuse to the extent that it was done on this animal over in Sunshine Ranches. That horse was 500 pounds underweight and had to be put down. I thought this was an isolated incident. Yet, talking to other people that handle this sort of items within our town, this happens 2 or 3 times a year. Last year there was 3 horses taken. 2 had to be put down. I didn't hear about that until I started asking questions. This is not an uncommon item, and we should make examples of these people. My personal opinion is, well, never mind. But the severest extent of the law needs to be brought to bear, and if we can make the law even more stringent, I would approve of it. And I think that BSO needs to have a checkoff list when they go to these places, and if they don't hit the checkoff list correct, the people are arrested and sent to jail. That is my opinion. And I hope this council will concur with me on this. Thank you very much.
Bob McFarland? Yes.
I'm going to be much quicker, Tim. Very quickly, I am still awaiting this town's method of notifying us when these robberies are taking place out here. Lived here almost 30 years, been robbed twice in the last 2. I've lost, we're little people. We've lost about $20,000 worth of lawn equipment. But I understand from neighbors that I've spoken to that this is not isolated. I understand from our police officers that this is not isolated. And I understand from to be unnamed council member that you're trying to figure out a way to notify us of these robberies without letting anybody know. That I'm still trying to figure out. How about a sign on Griffin Road that says Bob McFarlane at 16611 Southwest 49th Street, which I didn't do before, just got robbed. Notice. But then that might make the front page of the Sun Sentinel. What's going to make the front page of the Sun Sentinel is when one of us catches one of these SOBs in our backyard and we shoot them. That's going to make the front page of the Sun Sentinel. He is going, whoever it is that is stealing my equipment is going to come at me in a forceful manner, and my Kel-Tec PMR 31 round 22 Magnum is going to bark 31 times if I don't reload. Now, guys, you got to let us know when this stuff is going on. Put a sign out there. Do something. We would have taken more care. And Freddie, no, we don't have an alarm system. Now, why should we be forced to have an alarm system if we're paying for our police department out here? Well, my alarm system will be my firearm. And guys, you told me, I went to a meeting with Andy and with Doug, and you talked about doing a postcard mailing to let people know what was going on, and that nothing happened. Nothing happened. Can't put it in the newsletter because then you'd be notifying us, but people would know about it. That's tough. And one last quick one. I talked to Peter in accounting. There is absolutely no reason those of us that are 100% totally and permanently disabled, service-connected, because of our honest, honorable service, are still paying for trash collection. It can be waived by the town. And as I sent to you in the email, South Broward Drainage District has waived their assessment for us, all 6 of us.
Last speaker, Gay Chapels.
I would like to make a recommendation that possibly some of us can work with Keith. A lot of these people don't want to report their neighbors when they think the animal is, there's a lot of things involved in this. If they think the animal is being neglected, not fed, and it's losing a lot of weight and so on and so forth. And so I would like to be able to get a group together to kind of work out a checklist. You know, the police could go there and the first question out of their mouth ought to be, is a vet attending the vet? What is the vet's name? That's the first thing. And then the next thing would be, when did you get the animal? How long has the animal been like this? So on and so forth. I think there should be a method of reporting this without having to go through code or anything of that nature where you have to leave your name and now the next door neighbor is your mortal enemy because they reported you because you're not feeding your animal. It's not only horses. There are goats, chickens are foragers, so they're fine, and most goats are too, but some of them that are penned are not. And I personally saw 2 cows that starved to death that were penned. And that's what we have to address. How we get hold of them, you know, in other words, how we're notified, how we address it, and then the police should have a form that they can check off, and down at the bottom, they're liable. Now, I will tell you that on those 3 horses, everybody volunteered because Josh said he spent 6 hours with the vet. He said he didn't get any pay, and he hauled them, and Leslie took care of them, and there should be a liability there. If these people take these animals and then they don't feed them and they're on death's doorstep and the vet puts his time and effort into it, the town can't afford to pick up that tab. And in any other case, they would be liable for the bill that that animal gets, or they go to jail. I mean, they just picked up a guy that was abusing horses. They were starving, and they arrested him and took him to jail. And then they took the horses. But we have to do something. There's no excuse for that in this community, none whatsoever. So that would be my recommendation, because we have to do it legally and work with Keith and see what Keith can do to help the police department set it up so that the liability still is on the owner of the animal. And we need to notify everyone in our newsletter that this won't be tolerated in the town. If the animal isn't under medical care, and you're just letting him starve to death, then you need to get rid of the animal. Thank you.
I think that concludes public comments. Thank Erica. Item number 5, board reports. Any board members here like to make any comments? That's very unusual. Seeing no comments from any board members. Item number 5 has been completed. Item number 6, council member comments. Gary.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll lead off. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. Happy August. Just to be brief, a couple things. Just want to mention that we have a new parking lot out front. If those of you haven't noticed, it's now strictly for horses, although I'm sure if we have a pig or a goat, we can tie it up in there too. But I want to thank the South Florida Trail Riders for putting in the horse corral. I guess that's exactly what you would call it, being a non.
What is it called?
Corral?
A corral? Absolutely.
Horse
Okay,
corral.
good. Got it. And
Horse
it-
parking.
Yeah, horse parking. Anyway, it looks really good. If you haven't seen it, I was just out there a little while ago. Just got back in town yesterday, and it looks really, really good. And I want to thank the trail riders for their time and their efforts. And the other thing I want to talk about just briefly is I call it euphemistically December Secret Garden. But if those of you who haven't seen it, it's taking on a life of its own back here. Whatever's going on in the front is equally as impressive as what's going on back there with Project Primal. And December's really putting in a lot of time and effort. And I can't wait for harvest time because I'll probably be back there with a little bag snipping herbs and all that once they're ready to go. But it's definitely worth taking a look at. So I just wanted to bring that up to everybody. And that's all I've got.
Thanks, Gary. Go ahead, Freddie.
Yeah, I'm up here. I don't have a lot. One of the first things I want to mention, Bob's outside, so he can't hear me. But I know my wife, yeah, we get two newspapers. We get the Herald and the Sun Sentinel. She reads the Sun Sentinel, I read the Herald. And she reads me every day, the time, everything in our town is reported by the police is in the paper. It's in the Sun Sentinel. You know, like he was saying, we're not notifying them, but it's there. I mean, because she says, who lives here, who lives there, but she reads them all the time. And I said something to Bob about, because I had an incident this week. My son is down to Keys for a month. His son was down there with them, and so we were the only ones on the homestead. And at 12 o'clock at night, I get a call from him down to Keys. He said, the alarm just went off in my son's house. Before I could get outside, the police car was there. 2 of them was there within 2 minutes, you know. And I know Bob says it alarms, but people, that's the answer. You're going to have to bite the bullet sometime. And I know they can get by them, but we've got to do that. But I think the town is, and the police department is doing a good job as far as, the only thing is, Andy, I might mention it to you. I haven't mentioned it to her personally, but we used to get a text every time one happened. We're not getting them anymore. I don't know if anybody getting them anymore.
Yeah,
we used to get them, but we're not getting them. And another thing I want to bring out, this week, you know, we had that night with Cooper City, and you talk about the trail riders. When I got there, there was a line of them on their horses sitting there representing our town. You know, I don't know how many people have horses, but that horse in a trailer and haul them all over like they do and represent us at these places like that, we got to really thank those people. But, you know, there was a lot of people, and I think there was at least 10, maybe 10 horses there, you know. And I just want to thank them, because it's a good representative for our town. And quickly, I don't know how many people have been by the fishing hole, but just moving along. December's watching it, and I go by there a couple times a week myself and just walk around. But it's moving, and it's looking good. There's some questions I keep asking Willie about some of the questions. I wondered where all the concrete pipes, he told me where they were going and some other stuff. But it's making grounds. Willie assured me, and so did Andy, that the playground's going to be ready by the due date. And I understand they're going to excavate, had they did it today or tomorrow, they're going to excavate the property for the new fill. Yeah. But no, if you get a chance, go by and look. It looks real good. They're doing a real good job. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Steve?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Couple of comments. First of all, I wanted to comment, Gay, appreciate your, I think your input, your ideas as far as the horse, and also Newell. I think absolutely we need to make sure that we're doing all we can to do that. And I
We
think
need to have a workshop. I'm
Yeah.
on board with you, but I think we need to probably have, put it on the agenda as a workshop, as a discussion
Yeah.
item when Keith gets back, along with Andy, as far as what our options and what we can do.
Right, I think it's a good idea.
So-
I think it's a good idea because, you know, it's important to us. It's important to us. And it's important to let people know that there are consequences if things are not. You know, if you can't care for the horse, there's plenty of places that will take the horse, but don't just leave it out there and not care for it. Exactly. Wanted to congratulate Willie. You know, probably a couple of months ago, I mentioned that we have a situation with flood insurance, that we were with Broward County and had a special, you know, we had the Broward County rate, and that went away because now, I don't know, I guess every 10 years they evaluate or what the deal was. Why it took them 13 years to get there, I'm not sure exactly, but at any rate, we no longer fall under their rate. And to be able to get our own rate, and actually Cooper City and some of our neighbors that are right next door to us have the same rate as Broward County. But to do that, it's a long process. But one of the first processes is to have somebody, and Willie, I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm going to read it, all right? Because otherwise I won't get it right. Get their certification as an ASFPPM Certified Flood Plan Manager. Well, you know what? We got one. So thank you, Willie. I appreciate all the time and effort and work that went into that. I know that's not the final step, but it's the first step, and it's critical, and so thank you for doing that. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was pass on a thank you from Hawks Bluff. They're doing their food truck event tonight, and I spoke with the principal, assistant principal, and they were very thankful for the opportunity to use the equestrian park, and they had a big crowd out there, a lot of fun, a lot of folks, and so it looks like a great event. So they wanted to pass on that thank you to council, administration, and the residents. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm passing, I'm good. You guys hit everything on the nail, so.
Wow. I too, Steve, want to thank the principal, Minnie Cunningham, Hawks Bluff, you know, those types of things. They build a community togetherness, and it was a wonderful event. Enjoyed it very much. A lot of people were there, and it also gives them an opportunity to generate some additional funds to assist with the programs that are going on in the schools, particularly Hawks Bluff Elementary, and God knows that any extra is certainly appreciated, especially this money goes to take care of kids. Gary and I too have been back there and seen what has been created by December. In fact, I was here one afternoon. I know that once a month, I guess somebody gets designated to prepare the meals for the entire staff, and you sit out there once a month, and it's such a great idea. Unfortunately, I had some place that I had to go and wasn't able to partake, but they promised me that it wasn't the Last Supper, and I said that I would definitely be back next month to be there and be a part of that. It's just such a great idea. With regards to the horses, we have been in touch with BSO, and I know that our chief is back there. I will tell you that the investigation is ongoing. I will tell you that they have questioned some people with regards to where it goes. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the information and the evidence that is that is put together. So again, that's still on the burner, and that's still going on. And just to remind this council also, and I suspect that Andy will soon have a conversation with Keith, that we did pass an ordinance not that long ago called Marco's Law. And there certainly are provisions in there to hold people accountable. The town can hold people accountable for the abuse of horses. So that also is potentially another mechanism. So with that being said, that concludes my comments, and that concludes item number 6, council member comments. Item number 7, legal comments. Michelle?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just have one item. There was a case, New Testament Baptist Church versus the Town of Southwest Ranches. It was a declaratory action as well as a writ of certiorari was filed against the town. The court has now dismissed the writ of certiorari action, which is good news. So that means half of the lawsuit is passed, and it will proceed as the declaratory action, which had been stayed previously by that court, waiting for the certiorari action to conclude. So now that that's concluded, we just have the declaratory action to deal with.
Very good. Good news. Thank you, Michelle. That concludes legal comments. Item number 8, administration comments. Andy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You may have noticed our BSO chief came in a little late this evening. There was an incident earlier this afternoon in Davie, which involved a high-speed chase and I believe one fatality. And BSO had some additional forces that they had sent over to help with the cause, helicopters and otherwise. And our chief was on scene over there coordinating the BSO resources. So I know that's why she was a little bit late getting here this evening. So just want to share that with you. On a good and positive note, you'll see on the screens, the monitors, we have our new website up. I want to compliment Juanita Romance, who came back this evening but has now disappeared. Juanita has rode point on that and has just done an outstanding job. So the website is up. We've worked through some of the bugs that we had with it, and we're just in the process now of populating it with resos and ordinances and all that history that people may go in and look for, such as the comprehensive plan and other things like that. We want to make those things certainly work properly, but we're very pleased with how the website came out, and certainly would like to invite you to just spend some time and hunt and peck around there. A reminder that we have our budget workshop, our public budget workshop is coming up on August 20th. It's Tuesday night at 7 p.m. It'll be right here in council chambers. That is a workshop, but it's certainly open to the public. Public will have the opportunity to participate in that discussion. Just want to let you know that we've had some complaints about the new traffic light at I-75 and Griffin that was put in just on the west side of that overpass. There are issues with the timing and otherwise, and we are doing our best to work with Broward County on that to get that rectified. Recognize that the vast majority of our residents didn't want to see an additional traffic light over there. Unfortunately, we've got it, but we certainly want to minimize the impact and get that thing functioning as properly as possible. So,
Andy, one question, if I can jump in here, if I may. And the commander or chief can tell us if this can be done. I would like us to be able to track, since that light went in, automobile accidents because of that light. Because I've seen at least 3 or 4 of them myself, from rear-ended or people turning at the light from the ramp or whatever the case may be. So is there a way to log or track the accident or incidents related to that traffic light?
Yeah, council member, if certainly if reports are completed, whether it's our district or Davie that may handle that, certainly we can work with Davie and get an idea on what kind of accidents may or may not be
Yeah,
caused.
because like the light when it first went in was really bad.
Right.
It's not nearly as bad, but it still turns red when there's nobody in the left-hand turn lane.
Exactly.
So it should never turn red ever if there's no cars in the left-hand turn lane. So that's,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
No, I was just going to ask a follow-up question as well. So I want to be clear where complaints should be filed, and in my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be, that as far as the light itself can be directed towards Broward County. If we're just annoyed at the whole process and at how it was built, that would be the state of Florida. Is that correct?
Well, that would be FDOT that did that expansion and changed the interchange there. Yes, that's correct. But certainly any issues that you have, any issues that you have from our residents, if you funnel those through us, through me and through my office, we'd certainly be happy to continue to work on that with Broward County as far as the timing of the light itself. The only other thing is just kind of I'll say a very brief update on the assets of the Resource Recovery Board. That will be an item on our next agenda. There'll be some action that we may be asking you to take, but the town attorney and I are still working through some of that. But I would just say to you, expect to see it on our next agenda. And I'll certainly cover it with you between now and then. And that's really all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, that concludes administration comments. Item number 9, resolution for the record. Erica?
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the town's agreement with Luke's Sawgrass Landscape, also known as Luke's Landscaping Incorporated, to provide, excuse me, to provide townwide park and right-of-way maintenance services, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to initiate the extension and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Erica. Again, this was a 3-year contract. We have an opportunity to extend the agreement for an additional 2 years, and I think that this was also talked about or discussed a few meetings ago, some very lengthy, and taking a look at how things have progressed after your conversation and with December's conversation with Luke's himself. It looks to me like things are a little bit better, at least based upon the report that I took a look at, percentages wise, and how they're addressing some of the concerns that we have. So, and that's a really good thing. So, Andy, you had an additional comment?
Yeah, just the only thing I want to add is this was certainly discussed by council. I think, Mayor, while you were on vacation, there was clear consensus from certainly the remainder of council to go ahead with this. This is just the formal action that we need to take. But certainly since that meeting, as we come into tonight, December and I have met with Luke. We've tried to certainly make it very clear. I'll say that it won't be without its challenges, but we're going to do everything we can to get them to live up to that contract and honor the terms of that. And, I shared an email with you that I sent to Luke's. It's certainly our intention to get the service that we're paying for.
Very good, Andy. Thank you.
Make a motion of approval so we can discuss it.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Newell?
New Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. I did owe that. I have problems, but I understand what we're doing. I would like to talk about the kudu or kudas or whatever vine that is taking over our town. And the firebush is being killed right now. A couple months ago, I spoke to administration about it. It was in one spot. Now it has progressed all the way from out west, all the way to the firebush at Dykes Road. I saw it on there coming in tonight. And it grows about a foot a day if you don't kill it. And it's very simple. It's got like generally 1 or 2 root systems that hit the ground and this massive amount above it. And I don't understand why it hasn't been done, except I understand why we're redoing this contract. But something's got to be done in the meantime, or we're not going to have any of our landscaping out there. It's all going to die because this is the vine that ate the South. You've got entire states that are covered in this, and it kills everything underneath it. And this vine has to be killed. And this is a priority, I think, if we want to keep the firebush on the sides of the road and if we want to keep everything else. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other members of the public wish to comment on this item? See no further public comment. Public comment is now closed. Turn it over to you all for questions, comments, or concerns. Freddie, you had your hand up first.
Yeah, I think that Andy gave every one of you a copy of this, of things that him and December were working on. Andy, I didn't bring my contract with me tonight, but to me, this is not in the contract now, right? What you written up here?
If I may, Mayor?
Yeah.
One of the prime things in there is we're asking for those weekly reports. the contract does specify that reports will be given to us. It doesn't break it down in detail, and that's what we're doing there, but it does specify that we will receive reports.
Well, reason I would suggest that this be a part of the contract. You know, that seems to be the problem we've had in the past, is reporting how they're doing it so that December can keep track of it. And they've went to a lot of, Andy and December went to a lot of work with this. And I think if we're signing a new contract, make this part of the contract, make sure he understands what he's supposed to do. I've read it a couple times, and he seemed to agree with it, but I think we should make it part of the contract. That's my recommendation.
Thanks, Freddie. Any other members of the council? Questions, comments, or concerns?
Yeah.
Steve?
I'll just say, I think, Freddie, one of the things with that is that we're able to, the way Andy has interpreted the contract, we're able to get these reports produced without redoing the contract. If we redo the contract, obviously, there's a lot of expense to redo a contract, plus it may come in at a higher rate. So I think it's safer to go with the contract we've got, but use that clause on the reporting to make sure we get the reports. That's
Yeah, if that's the case, our attorney's sitting over there, if we want to add this, we would have to re-advertise the contract?
We want to modify the contract.
You want a new
put that
contract.
in it.
I'm sorry, you're talking about right now, or you're talking about if you went out?
I'm talking about.
Right now.
Right now?
we're renewing
Right
it.
now, we have a contract with Luke
We're
with the
renewing
option
the
to
contract.
extend it for 2 years. We're extending the contract for 2 years with this motion. I just wanted to put a little more teeth into the contract where that he would have to live up to this a little more. I think it only says in there that he has to give us reports. This really specifies how those reports have to be a little more. And
Yeah,
maybe-
that would be okay, because the resolution that initially approved them, I'm pretty certain gave the power to the city attorney, or town attorney, as well as the mayor to negotiate the contract. So an addendum can be placed on the contract with additional language if you so chose.
And Andy, since you've had some in-depth conversations as well with regards to this request, I know that you want to have an opportunity to comment on Freddie's concerns, so by all means.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My only concern, and I understand where the council member is going, and I certainly agree with him. My only concern, which is really more of a legal question, is if we're going to extend this contract, can we unilaterally impose a change or an amendment, or does that potentially invalidate what we're trying to do? That would be my concern.
It would depend what the change would be. If it's something that would change who could have bid for the services and so forth, it would have to go back out to bid. But if it's a term that's already in the contract and you're clarifying it or making adjustments to it so they perform, instead of just giving reports, you want more of a systematic system, or therefore that would be okay.
Sounds to me like you got a lot of cooperation on that end, Andy. And again, from my perspective too, it's a performance component, and we talked about that, and we've had lengthy conversations. I've had it with you, Andy, and I've had it with Keith. There are mechanisms in place so we can hold them accountable, and they assured me, and I suspect they probably assured you all as well, that they will certainly utilize those mechanisms to get their intention to ensure that they're in compliance with the conditions of that contract.
Yes,
So-
and from what I remember from reviewing the contract not so long ago, that there's definitely mechanisms in there, as the mayor said, that if they don't comply, that there's repercussions associated with it.
And they promised us that you all would hold them accountable, so that's a very good thing.
I think we got his attention because I've seen places mowed that I haven't seen mowed in 6 months, so I think we got his attention. I just don't want to lose his attention.
Agree with you, Freddie.
I think we're all going to be on it together. I don't think it's just going to be Andy. I have a hunch each and every one of us will be bending Andy's ear along the way where they're picking up the slack. I've seen them dropping in other areas, but I brought it to Andy's attention. But they have been a little more diligent about what they're doing and how they're doing it, but they also have slacked in some other areas. But listen, between us all, bending Andy's ear, I think he's clearly going to have his hands full, and same with December. And I apologize, dear, but we definitely want to enforce everything we can get out of that contract.
I know December doesn't have any problems holding them accountable. If anybody's committed to the look and the beauty of this town, especially as it deals with the landscaping issues, there isn't anybody, I don't think, more committed, so
Gary would-
absolutely,
Mayor.
Doug.
Gary.
Yeah,
Gary.
Mayor, if I may, next to the traffic light on I-75, this is probably the single most item that comes in,
Without a doubt.
and it's usually never a good one,
Yep,
you know, and.
especially during the summer months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just really.
Absolutely.
So we've got a lot of work to do.
Yep, absolutely. Any other questions, comments, or concerns, council? We have a motion and a second to approve. Call the question, please, Erica.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli?
Yes.
Councilmember McKay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, item number 10, approval of minutes for the July 25th, 2013 regular council meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, everybody, that's unanimous, nobody opposed. Approval of the minutes. And believe it or not, it is about 10 minutes to 8, and we started about 5 minutes after. We have to go back into our archives, that's right, still light outside, to find out if maybe this might be a record to complete a meeting. But no, not at all. Great to see everybody, and this meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming.